Hello everybody, my name is Veladam01 and welcome back to City Skylines East of the Curtain. As you may have noticed, the previous episode was a live gameplay instead of time-lapse and voiceover, and damn it, never again. After that last episode I think I will just stick to time-lapses and voiceovers because it was kind of hard to record it for myself. It was kind of a miracle that I could record it for the second attempt, so it was the moment when I just said, okay, live play never again, only the rarest occasions. Well, before I start talking about today's topic and what I am building right now on the screen, let me just tell you something about the previous episode. You could see that in the previous episode I set up a tram line and built a tram depot for the city. You could see the tram depot in the intro cinematics, and to be honest, I'm not so satisfied with the tram depot, and as soon as I have time, or as soon it is in the way of something development, or I don't know, or I have the patience, I would rework that tram depot because I imagined a better design for it. And I would also like to ask some questions. Currently at the moment the episodes are scheduled for every Saturday noon in Central European time, but I am thinking about to schedule them for Sunday 8 or 9 in the morning, and I'm asking you about which time will be better for you, the Saturday noon or the Sunday 8 or 9 in the morning. So just tell me in the comments so I can decide it. And in today's episode I am going to make a small residential expansion, as there is a huge housing demand and also a worker shortage in the city, and the industry is complaining about it. This residential area that I am going to build is mainly inspired by Szombathely, a city in northern Hungary, and 3 areas of Budapest, Kispest, Soroksáry and Pesterzsébet. And the backstory of these 3 parts of Budapest is that once they were independent towns and villages around Budapest, but at that time they were just attached to it and became the part of the bigger city, while they could keep their outlook, except Pesterzsébet, where they just decided to remove some street with a complete tram line and the buildings on them to build a big socialist type prefab housing estate. So maybe this is the reason why these comic blocks that were built on the second or third episode of the series are here next to the Midrise buildings. For the buildings I used fine built Central European building pack that I used in the downtown, but in this case I used the smaller and shorter versions of them, as I didn't want this area to be a high rise and high density area, maybe a low to mid density neighborhood. And I mixed them with some elements of the Dorfhaus pack made by Acapulco. These are German style townhouses, but some of them goes really well with the Central European, especially the Hungarian architecture, and they are also looking good with the prefab estate in the backgrounds. And also the name Dorfhaus just literally translates to townhouse in English. I also wanted to use some 4-story block houses made by Eiichiro that I downloaded from the workshop to test them how they are looking mixed into the Central European theme, but sadly I forgot to place them on the palette where I copied and pasted the buildings from while I was making the time-lapse. So please remind me when I'm about to do residential areas again to use these buildings before I forget them again. And to be honest, this project ended up also kinda looking similar to the area where my favorite steakhouse is located in my town. The only exception is that the tram line doesn't go right in front of the buildings, and in these narrow roads it goes on the main road. Here is the detail part of the video. What you see on the screen is speeded up by 5.5 times, and I only recorded only a small part, the beginning of it. Then I had enough from it and turned it off to save some space on the hard drive and finish the job off camera. You will see that I started to put down a lot of hedge and fence assets between the buildings to separate the gardens and backyards from each other. I tried to mix together a lot of these assets to keep the variety and not just to be the same everywhere. And for detailing the separated backyards, I put down a lot of props and tree assets. For example, the landscaping planters by Brane, which were converted to procedural objects in order to make them 2 times larger, and planting trees in them. And I also put down some restaurant terraces, because maybe there is a restaurant in some of these buildings, like I mentioned before, that even my favorite steakhouse is also located in an area like this kind of older suburb house area or small town area. And later I used the CUG community urban garden assets. I don't know who made them, I can't remember the name who made them right now, to make some small gardens for the building where maybe the residents can grow something for themselves. So it's kind of a self-sustainable or just hobby garden, or I don't know. I don't even know that if it's common in the area or just decorated. So yeah, they can now grow something for themselves, like vegetables or fruits, or just, I don't know. I also used heavily the tulip planter boxes around the place, made by Mr. Mason. Try to not use the same color too much next to each other, but not sure if it worked, as it won't be so visible on the ending cinematics. And some parking lots were also made in the backyards for the locals to have a parking spot. For these I used the DDR East German garage pack by Master Moniz, and some concrete parking lots made by, I don't know, I can't remember the name, but if you type in the Steam Workshop search bar, it would give you the results. You have just type concrete parking lots. And I had to think about a lot to where to put them, as I didn't want to put them too close to the gardens that you can see that I placed down later in the video. And I also think that it would be much better if I used the alternative parking pack made by Pizza here, but I only realized it after finishing the recording, so maybe it won't be fixed in the on camera but in the off camera before the next episode, or I am just going to leave this as it is, because I don't want to touch things that I finished after I finished them. But what I want to do, and I'm 100% sure that I will do it, is change the roads around this block, not the one with the bike lane, but the suburban road with the same type road but with decorative trees, as it kinda looks plain and weird at the moment. It would have been nice if I did this area like that from the start, but I wasn't subscribed to the test set on the Steam Workshop, which would fit here the best. The suburban street with trees by Elozo, so again another duty to do off camera. Here is the ending of this video. Hope you all enjoyed. Here is the short flyover about what I have built today. Don't forget to follow me on Twitter to get early spoilers and screenshots about what progress is made in the city before the new episodes drop. Thanks for watching. I hope I will see you later in the next one too. See you all later. Goodbye.